So in B County, two women are doing their part to make sure their ancestors will not be forgotten. And at the same time, they're trying to keep track of every gravesite in the county.
Yes, all in hopes that they can keep them connected or in some cases reconnected with their family members. Our Michael Gibson reports from B County.
Sylvia Garcia Smith is taking pictures of every single headstone here inside this little-known graveyard just outside of Pawnee.
One of these graves might be my great-grandmother.
That as she searches for the headstone of her great-grandmother, Maria Garcia, who died in 1934.
This cemetery wasn't even on Find a Grave until about 3 days ago.
Sylvia knows that her great-grandmother was a midwife and faith healer who would go to area ranches and assist women during childbirth. But as far as where she's actually buried here, that's still a mystery. Now that's the case for others buried here as well, because there is apparently no surviving cemetery map, and online websites like Find a Grave have no info either.
None of these people are in there. For all I know, that might be my great-grandmother.
We had to take several county roads here to even find the Red Ranch Cemetery. It's several miles outside of Pawnee. And again, Sylvia Garcia Smith is on the search for her great-grandmother.
I don't know what it is about the dead that draws me to it.
We met up with Kay Mix at the Evergreen Cemetery, which is the oldest burial site in Beeville. Mix is president of a local cemetery association and teaches genealogy. She says it's a really tough job to try and maintain old cemeteries like the one in Pawnee, and of course this one, which holds the remains of the pioneers from this area. While many headstones clearly show who is buried where, there are a number of graves which are missing a headstone for a number of reasons. That's why Mix is urging people to go to online sites like Find a Grave and Ancestry.com and help researchers in their quest to identify the dead and where they may lie.
There's Find a Grave that has been started by Ancestry.com and FamilySearch.org that goes in, and families put the information on there. They put the birth date, the death date, they document everything. And then if they don't have pictures, they can contact someone that lives in the county or in that town and ask them if they would go and take a picture of that tombstone.
Petra Garcia.
That's exactly what Sylvia's doing out here at the Red Ranch Cemetery. She's going to upload all of her pictures onto Find a Grave. Then she hopes someone will eventually help her find her great-grandmother's grave.
Where to put a marker for her. I want to get a little plaque and just put it out here because I know she's here.
From B County, Michael Gibson, 3 News.
Fascinating stuff there.